Is abstaining from all forms of sexual release a magic bullet for superhuman abilities? Today, we're going to explore a unique internet phenomenon called NoFap. There are countless anecdotes swirling around the web suggesting that avoiding all sexual release can lead to a boost in focus, energy, and an overall sense of well-being. But how much of this is fact and how much is fiction? Are we dealing with a secret key to unlock hidden potentials, or is it just another internet myth? Let's dive into the science and see what it really says. First, let's understand how our bodies and brains respond to sexual release. When we experience sexual release, a lot goes on inside our bodies and brains. Physiologically, the process starts with sexual arousal, which leads to a number of changes in the body. Heart rate increases, blood pressure rises, and there's increased blood flow to the genitals. Then the climax or the orgasm phase occurs, which is characterized by intense feelings of pleasure, accompanied by contractions in the pelvic region. Now let's talk about what's happening in the brain during sexual release. Our brain plays an integral role in the sexual response cycle. As we approach orgasm, certain regions of the brain, like the hypothalamus and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, are activated. These areas are associated with emotions, pleasure, and reward. During orgasm, the brain releases a cocktail of chemicals including oxytocin, endorphins, and dopamine. Oxytocin, often referred to as the love hormone, promotes bonding and feelings of intimacy. Endorphins, on the other hand, are our body's natural painkillers, providing a sense of well-being and relaxation. Dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, is linked to the brain's reward system, and its release during orgasm reinforces sexual behavior. Multiple scientific studies indicate that regular sexual release contributes to better physical health. For example, a study from the American Journal of Cardiology found that men who had sex at least twice a week were less likely to develop heart disease compared to those who had less frequent sexual activities. In terms of mental health, sexual release has also been found to reduce stress and anxiety, improve sleep, and boost mood. A study published in the journal Biological Psychology reported that individuals who had regular sexual activity had lower blood pressure response to stress. So it's clear that sexual release has a significant impact on our bodies and brains, but does abstaining from it lead to superpowers? A number of studies have actually looked into the effects of NoFap, and while it's true that many people swear by the practice, claiming it gives them superhuman abilities, the scientific evidence tells a slightly different story. Let's start with a study published in JAMA Psychiatry. It found that while there was an initial spike in testosterone levels after 7 days of abstinence, these levels quickly returned to baseline after about a week. The study concluded that there was no long-term impact on testosterone levels from abstaining from sexual release. So if you're hoping to boost your testosterone levels through NoFap, you might want to reconsider. Then there's a study from the University of Duisburg-Essen in Germany. It found that while men who abstained from sexual release for 3 weeks did experience a small increase in their aggression levels, there was no significant change in their cognitive abilities or physical strength. So again, the idea of gaining superhuman abilities through NoFap seems to be a bit of a stretch. What about mood and mental health? A large-scale study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that there was no significant difference in mood or mental health between those who abstained and those who did not. In fact, the study suggested that regular sexual release could actually have a positive impact on mental health. Finally, a meta-analysis of over 20 studies found that there was no significant correlation between sexual abstinence and increased physical or cognitive performance. This comprehensive review of the literature concluded that the claims of superhuman abilities resulting from NoFap are largely unsupported by scientific evidence. The science doesn't support the idea that NoFap leads to superhuman abilities. But what about the anecdotal evidence? Many people swear by NoFap, but anecdotal evidence isn't always reliable. Now let's dive into this a bit more. When we say anecdotal evidence, we're referring to personal accounts or stories. These are experiences that individuals share, often with a lot of conviction. For instance, someone might say, "I tried NoFap and it changed my life." And sure, that's powerful, it's compelling. But the thing is, it's also subjective. It's influenced by personal biases, perceptions, and emotions. It's not controlled or consistent. On the other hand, we have scientific evidence. This is data that's been gathered through systematic observation and experimentation. It's objective, meaning it's not influenced by personal feelings or opinions. It's based on facts. But more than that, it's also replicable. This means that the same experiment under the same conditions should produce the same results. That's what makes it reliable. So let's consider our NoFap example again. When someone says, "NoFap worked for me," it's anecdotal evidence. It's based on one person's experience, and there could be a myriad of factors at play. Maybe they started exercising at the same time, or they made other lifestyle changes. We just don't know. But when a scientific study says NoFap has no significant effect on physical or mental performance, it's based on rigorous research. It's based on a controlled environment where variables are accounted for. It's based on statistical analysis of data collected from a large sample size. It's not just one person's experience. It's an observation of trends and patterns across a wider population. This isn't to say that anecdotal evidence is worthless. It can be a great starting point for research. It can highlight areas that need further investigation, but on its own, it's just not enough to draw solid conclusions. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with just one piece. So while personal experiences can be powerful, they don't stand up to scientific scrutiny. So if NoFap doesn't give you superpowers, what does it actually do? This question is at the heart of our discussion today, and the answer might surprise you. NoFap, or the practice of abstaining from pornography and masturbation, has been touted by its proponents as a life-changing discipline, leading to increased confidence, improved focus, and enhanced physical performance. But as we've discovered, the evidence backing these claims is scant at best. Does this mean NoFap is entirely without merit? Not necessarily. While it may not turn you into an overnight success or an unstoppable dynamo, NoFap can have real effects on certain individuals. For those who feel their sexual behaviors are out of control or negatively impacting their lives, NoFap could provide a framework for taking back control. It can serve as a personal discipline, helping some individuals to better understand their desires and behaviors. However, it's essential to remember that NoFap is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person may not work for another, and while NoFap may help some people feel more in control of their sexual behaviors, it does not inherently lead to the extraordinary benefits its advocates often claim. It's not a magic elixir for personal or professional success. Moreover, it's crucial to underscore that NoFap should not be seen as a substitute for professional help. If you're struggling with issues related to sexuality, mental health, or addictive behaviors, it's always wise to seek out a qualified professional. In conclusion, while NoFap may provide a sense of control for some, it's not the panacea it's often portrayed to be. It's a tool, a discipline, perhaps a stepping stone on a personal journey, but it's not a guaranteed path to success or a cure-all for life's challenges. NoFap may be beneficial for some, but it's not the magic bullet it's often made out to be. So, as we venture further into this topic, let's keep our perspective grounded in science, not sensationalism. Let's wrap this up. What's the final verdict on NoFap? We've journeyed through the science of sexual release, dissected the NoFap study, weighed anecdotal evidence against scientific evidence, and examined the real effects of NoFap. Now it's time to gather our thoughts and reach a conclusion. Firstly, we've established that NoFap, the act of refraining from masturbation and pornography, is not a scientifically supported method for acquiring superhuman abilities. The human body is not a simple machine that responds to a single switch. It's a complex network of systems, each with its own needs and responses. The science of sexual release shows that it's a natural process linked to numerous health benefits, such as reduced stress and improved sleep. The NoFap study, though interesting, is not comprehensive enough to be considered conclusive. Anecdotal evidence, though compelling, cannot replace rigorous scientific research. We've also discovered that the real effects of NoFap vary widely among individuals. For some, it may lead to positive changes, while for others, it may not make a significant difference. This variation is a testament to our individuality and the unique ways our bodies function. In conclusion, NoFap is not a universal panacea or a shortcut to superpowers. Like most things in life, the key to better health and well-being lies not in extremes, but in balance and moderation. Remember, it's not about denying yourself pleasure, but about understanding your body and making informed choices. The key to better health and well-being lies not in extremes, but in balance and moderation.